I'd like to take a moment and go over how to get a graph into your document and how to cut and paste. Okay, so I've got this data set that I've already inputted into StatCrunch. So let me get over to StatCrunch and move my screen. Okay, so I have the data set already inputted, and I want to get the basic statistics, such as the mean and the median and the standard deviation. So I'm going to click on Summary Stats and Columns, and I want to select my column, and I'm just going to leave it at the default statistics for now. Let me move my screen over. Okay, and then press Compute. And we'll see the summary statistics here. What I can do is I can click and drag my mouse to highlight what I want, and then right click and then select copy. And then I'm going to go back to my document, and I have my cursor right below the instructions. Let me move my screen. Okay, I have my cursor right below the instructions, and I'm going to right click and then I'm going to paste. Now I've got a couple of options. I can paste with keeping the source formatting, or I can paste with merging the formatting. So we would paste it with the same font. Honestly, I don't care what you do. Just as long as you are getting the right pieces, I'm fine. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Keep Source Formatting. Okay, now notice here it's outputting a little awkward with the variance and standard deviation being the numbers are separated. So I want to go ahead and change the look of it a bit. So if I right click on this little box up here, I should be able to change the size of the font, and that will decrease the table a bit. So I'm going to change it to 10, and notice that it made the table a little bit more readable. Yeah, another thing that you can do if you want is you could highlight the pieces of interest. So here I'm wanting the mean, median, standard deviation, so on. In StatCrunch, I could have just selected those values only, and my table would have been a lot smaller. Or I could have done it this way and shrunk the table. But another thing I can do is I can highlight the pieces I need. So if I go, let me move my screen. If I go up to this highlighting portion and click on yellow, I could highlight the pieces I want. Okay, so it can make your document a bit more readable. So I could highlight standard deviation. Again, this is optional. Okay, if you want to make your document look a little bit more readable, that would be one way to do it. And then when I'm done, I just unclick the highlighting portion. Okay, so you can also type in your values. So the mean for this particular problem was 88.95, okay, and so on. Now let's take a look at how to cut and paste a graph. Okay, so the instructions here are to create a histogram. I'm going to go ahead and do a stem and leaf plot, and I'm also going to do a box plot, sorry. So going back to StatCrunch, I'm going to close out that output. I'm going to go back to graph, and let's do a stem and leaf plot first because that's a little bit different than the rest of the graphs. Okay, so I want to select my column and compute. Okay, and it's going to give this output. Okay, so for a stem and leaf plot, you're going to have to drag it like you did for the output. Click and drag. Okay, so it's very similar to cutting and pasting your output from the basic statistics. Okay, so I'm back in my document, and I can just find a spot where I want to put it, and then right click and then paste. Okay, so this is fine. I don't need you guys to alter the stems for the stem and leaf plot. The default is fine in StatCrunch. In fact, I'm not even sure if you can change the look of your stems in StatCrunch. Okay, now let's go ahead and cut and paste a histogram. Okay, so let me go back to StatCrunch. And again, I want to click on graph, and this time I want to do histogram. Okay, I need to tell it the column, and I'm just going to leave this as the default. Okay, I have a separate video going over how to change the number of bars, so you can go ahead and take a look at that if you want. Okay, so I'm just going to press compute and take a look at the corresponding histogram. Okay, now for a histogram and for a box plot, you can't cut and paste the same way you did for the basic statistics output and for the stem and leaf plot. You need to click on options and then click on copy, and it's going to open up another graph for you to right click on. So it says here right click the image below to copy it, and at the bottom of your screen it's going to give you a tip. It says right click the image and select copy image, and then when we paste it into the Word document we're going to paste special. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is right click my screen and I want to copy image, and then go back to my Word document, and then up in the corner in Word you'll see paste. Oops, this should work. Okay, click on paste and then it says paste special, and it's going to open up this screen here, and we want to select device independent bitmap. I know this is a little bit more cumbersome than other software you have possibly done before. It's just a quirk with StatCrunch that you have to do it this way. Okay, so after selecting that, it's going to paste it right into the document. Now notice this is fairly large. I'm fine if you want to leave it this big. I'm going to go ahead and decrease the size, so I'm going to right click on the graph and scroll down to Format Picture and then select Size. Now if I just down arrow for the height, it's going to change the width proportionately. Okay, so if I shrink it down, for example, to about 3 inches and press OK, okay, you'll get a little nicer of a graph because it'll fit a little bit better in your document. Okay, let's go ahead and do a box plot for this data set. Okay, so I need to go back to StatCrunch, and I'm going to click on graph. Now the older version of StatCrunch, this is called graphics. I know some of my older videos have the old version of StatCrunch. The functionality is about the same, so those videos are still helpful. Okay, so I'm going to click on graph. Oops, I better click out that graph first. Okay, click on graph, and then I'm going to scroll down to box plot. And select scores, and then compute. Okay, now one thing you'll notice is that the default setting for StatCrunch is to draw the box plot in a vertical orientation, and that's fine. I don't mind if you go ahead and cut and paste in this orientation. If you like a horizontal orientation, let me show you how to do that. Let's go ahead and go back to graph, and I'm going to click on box plot. And again, I want to select scores. Now, if you notice right here, it says other options. I can select draw boxes horizontally. Okay, so that's what I want to do. And then press compute. And then you'll see the box plot is oriented so that the minimum value, the quartiles, and the maximum value are all drawn vertically. Okay, so again, like the histogram, I have to click on options, press copy, and then I need to right click the new graph, copy image. Okay, I want to open up my document, and then I need to go ahead and go to that paste special, and then select that device independent bitmap. Again, I know this is cumbersome, but this is how StatCrunch rolls. Okay, so it put the box plot in my document, and I can go ahead and shrink it by right-clicking on the graph and selecting Format Picture. Again, going to Size, and then just down arrowing to the dimensions I want, or you can type in the dimensions you want. Okay, and I think that's enough to get you started on basic cutting and pasting into your document. Again, you can do your labs by hand, but I ask you to be very neat. So if you choose to do the histogram by hand, please use a ruler. Personally, I think it's much easier to cut and paste from your software into the document.